Welcome to this edition of the Native News Update. I'm your host for today's program, Paul DeMain. Many of the stories viewed here can be found at our website, IndianCountryNews.com or IndianCountryTV.com. Here is the news from the day from the Associated Press and other Native news sources. A third lawsuit has been filed in Navajo Tribal Court alleging abuse by a former Franciscan priest who worked in parishes in Arizona and New Mexico more than 2 decades ago. The lawsuit was filed during mid-May in Navajo Nation District Court in Window Rock, Arizona by a New Mexico man identified as John Doe C.B. against Charles Chuck Sikanowicz, the Diocese of Gallup, the Franciscan Friars Province of St. John the Baptist, and the Franciscan Friars Province of Our Lady of Guadalupe. The lawsuit alleges Sikanowicz abused John Doe C.B. from about 1978 to 1980, when John Doe C.B. was between the ages of 15 and 18. The lawsuit alleges the priest started with grooming behavior, such as wrestling and nude sunbathing, then later gave the teen alcohol and sexually abused him. The abuse and exploitation and the circumstances under which it occurred caused John Doe C.B. to develop psychological coping mechanisms that prevented him from taking legal action earlier, the lawsuit said. Lee Lamb, communications director for the Diocese of Gallup, said the diocese cannot comment on pending litigation. The Native Youth Alliance, a Native American nonprofit organization incorporated in Washington, D.C. area, invites you to a spring renewal and a Memorial Day event at Arlington Cemetery on May 21st at the Grandfather's Plaque. Since 1998, in an exercise of First Amendment rights, the NYA has come to the Arlington National Cemetery, sacred site, to lay medicine in honor of all veterans along with the D.C. Native American community. NYA welcomes all people of all faiths, all pipe carriers, sun dancers, and sweat lodge participants to the event. The founders of Native Youth Alliance have worked with national and local Native American advocates and organizations to host youth conferences and other events. NYA is committed to advancing national Native American issues, including Indian child welfare, religious freedoms, and the protection of sacred sites by taking these issues directly to the halls of Washington, D.C. The Heritage of Healing Project provides information on healthy lifestyles and awareness of diseases such as cancers to the public. For more information, contact Native Youth Alliance at 734-323-0762 or email at nativeyouthalliance@yahoo.com. More than 400 police officers seized 8 marijuana grow-op greenhouses and roughly 1,200 pot plants as they conducted 13 drug raids May 19th on Akanasataka First Nations near Oka, Quebec. Inspector Lino Marizio of the Quebec Police pegged the estimated street value of the hydroponic weed harvested during the crackdown at more than $1 million. 6 of the 8 greenhouses had pot production underway, with planting in various stages of growth, he said. The 2 others had all the required gear in place. Officers also seized an undisclosed number of ammunition magazines used in AK-47 automatic assault rifles, along with several .357 caliber handguns, an M35 armored car, a bulldozer, and various hunting rifles. A manhunt continued meanwhile for Jason Gabriel. One of the pot plantations was found at his home, but Gabriel, well known to police, apparently managed to slip away in the early morning hours as more than 400 Royal Canadian Mounted Police and the SQ officers were deployed. After searching 13 locations, police arrested a total of 13 persons, notably Gary Gabriel, Barry Simon, and Vincent Doust. Secretary of the Interior Ken Salazar today praised the U.S. Senate's confirmation of Larry Echohawk of the Pawnee Nation of Oklahoma and the first American Indian in U.S. history elected as a state attorney general to serve as the Assistant Secretary of the Interior for Indian Affairs. Echohawk began his legal career as a legal services attorney working for the impoverished Indian people in California, then opened a private law office in Salt Lake City. In 1977, he was hired as tribal attorney for the Shoshone-Bannock tribes at the Fort Hall Reservation in Idaho, a position he held for more than 8 years. Echo Hawk was elected Attorney General of Idaho in 1990 and was appointed by President Clinton to the Coordinating Council on Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention, which is responsible for coordinating the federal government's effort to combat juvenile delinquency in the United States. He also has served on the Indian Alcoholism Counseling and Recovery Housing Program and the American Indian Community Resources Center Board. A former U.S. Marine, Echo Hawk is a professor of law at Brigham Young University's J. Reuben Clark Law School, teaching federal Indian law, criminal procedure, evidence, and criminal trial practice, and he has published several scholarly papers. Echo Hawk, 60, and his wife Terry have 6 children and 22 grandchildren. Robert Redford is collaborating with the state of New Mexico to expand training for Native American and Hispanic filmmakers. The program Sundance in New Mexico will be based at Los Luceros, a state-owned historic home along the Rio Grande. It will be used for programs and workshops. The actor and director who puts on the yearly Sundance Film Festival says the program grew it out of his long-standing love for the state and his commitment to further opportunities for American Indian and Hispanic filmmakers. The collaboration began last weekend with a panel discussion featuring director John Salas and others in Santa Fe. A general welcome is extended to all those in Washington, D.C. region as the Black Creek Gorge Society, Intertribal Veterans Association Drum, and the Zuni Color Guard will be conducting several events there on May 23rd. This is actually the second visit this year after last year's visit, in which they made a commitment to go to Washington, D.C. a total of 4 times. The events will begin starting at 5 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. at the Vietnam Veterans Memorial and the World War II Memorial at the Capitol Mall. Gourd dancing will then be held at the Capitol Mall from 12 noon until 2 p.m. at the Constitutional Garden on the Mall by the same organization, and then again at the U.S. Navy Memorial Plaza at 701 Pennsylvania Avenue from 2 p.m. until 8 p.m. This event is provided by the veterans off of the Navajo Nation. For more information, you can contact Larry Anderson Sr. at 928-729-2035. A stout round basket of cedar bark and bear grass sits in a glass display case in the Ocean Crest Resort Lounge of Washington State. It has intricate, tightly woven patterns, a black canoe silhouette, purple birds, and a thin border of geometric shapes around the rim. The Quinault basket is one of about 2 dozen on display at the resort. The baskets were recently donated to the Museum of the North Beach by Barbara Topete, founder of the Ocean Crest Resort. Her donation includes baskets, dolls, and beadwork. The majority of her collection is made up of the Quinault basket, but it contains pieces from all over Washington and Canada. A handful are on display at the resort and the museum, but most are in storage because the museum neither has the room nor the proper cases to show the collection and keep it from deteriorating. The museum is planning on moving into a replica of the Northern Pacific Railroad depot that served as a center of commerce in Moclips until it was torn down in the 1950s. But for now, anyone wanting to see the whole collection will have to settle for the mini exhibits. Museum officials say they're meeting with a Quinault tribal member to examine the collection soon to learn more about it and the baskets and other artwork they've gained. And that is the latest roundup of news from Indian Country on this edition of the Native News Update. We want to thank our underwriters for helping us with this broadcast, and today it's our second live broadcast. We want to appreciate you for tuning in as well. Come again soon. Miigwech.